But we all have counter intentions in our field, especially from our DNA bloodline, and also our own bank from all the way back that hinder us from succeeding in whatever the area is.
Awesome. First off, I want to welcome everyone to this podcast. I have a special guest with me, a really close friend of mine, Brian DeBaets. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you. Good to
Awesome.
be here. Thanks
So,
for having me.
Brian, of course, thank you. Brian is a personal trainer, and yeah, he's a really close friend of mine. He has a very chill, energetic energy, and I always enjoy being around him. And he's cool peoples. So, all right. With that being said, we are going to jump right into the interview slash coffee talk. So, Brian, the reason why I asked you to join today is talk to you about your experience with a money process. Can you explain a little bit what a money process is to our viewers?
Yeah, from my best understanding of it. So, any kind of a process that you get. So, we're in a club, obviously, and there's a person in the club who has learned how to deliver something. And this person learned how to do processing based on work that was done with him since he was very young. Processing is something very few people in the world can do. It's something that's only available in the society that he was brought up in and in the Global Information Network and the Kevin Trudeau Fan Club. So those are the only areas where they're available. So it's very unique in that respect. And what a process does is it gets rid of counter intentions that a person has in their field, you could say, which you leave that for a separate discussion. But we all have counter intentions in our field, especially from our DNA bloodline, and also our own bank from all the way back that hinder us from succeeding in whatever the area is. So money processes deal with money related counter intentions, and they eliminate a really, really a long line of counter intention to basically free you up to get that stuff, to achieve the money goals that you have or to achieve more of the money goals you have. And I had those processes done. A lot of other people have had those processes done. So we have quite a few people who can attest to the effectiveness of the processes. So that's a decent, I think, short explanation.
Beautiful explanation. And
Thanks.
for these processes, I want to kind of go through a timeline of where you were before getting the process, when you made the decision to get a process, and then after a process. So, for the first one, where were you before you got a money process?
Where was I? So specifically,
Money wise,
like where was I in
specifically
my
money.
life, money wise?
Yeah, money wise.
Okay. So, it's always relative. It's always relative to something. So before getting the money process is my best financial year ever was in 2020 during COVID. And I hadn't reached that number again since 2020. And this was at the end of 2022. So we had 2021, 2022. Right. And then we got the processes at the very beginning. Well, we purchased the processes at the beginning of 2023.
Hmm.
We didn't receive the processes until the end of 2023, early November. So we purchased them the very beginning of the year, like January 1st,
And
and
what
then
was
had them
that like?
delivered November 1st. And what was that?
What was that like when you made the decision to purchase that process?
Right. So yeah, that's where I'm getting. So that was the timeline. So 2021 and 2022, I made less money than I made in 2020 by about um, by about 15 grand in 2021, and then by about 7 grand in 2022. So 2020 was the best year. A lot of people couldn't travel, so they could train, and our gym stayed open. And so I had a really full schedule that year. And so the next year it kind of scattered a little bit when people were able to travel again. And I still made good money, but not as good as 2020. And so in 2023, after I purchased the money processes, I was on track to have about the same year as I had in 2022, which was pretty decent.
Mhm.
But I I had some opportunities come my way that I took advantage of. And one was just a learning opportunity to learn a whole bunch of systems for my training and to train people online. So in implementing that, I ended up making an additional 8 grand from just that program that I would not have made otherwise. So I linked it specifically to only activities I did based on what I learned from the program. And then throughout the rest of the year, I made some other decisions to free up some money I had in a whole life insurance policy, which I never should have purchased to begin with. I don't even have kids. And so I cashed that out and used the money. It opened up my mind as to how to use the resources I already had, but I was listening to other people and what to do with those instead of listening to my own gut instinct,
Right.
and decided to put that money into my own personal development. As we've heard from Warren Buffett, that's the best place that you can put your money is in yourself. He says
Exactly.
that's the one thing that distinguishes super wealthy people from everybody else, is that the super wealthy invest in themselves and they understand the importance of doing that. So I took that to heart, and I received the money processes near the end of that year. And that year ended up beating 2020 by about 10 grand, which was pretty notable. And then the next year after that, I beat that year, which was my best year ever. I beat that by another about 35 grand.
Wow.
So that's what happened with me. And that's considering a few things. That's considering, my habits were still in full effect in many respects. So part of the work you have to do is in actually changing your habits after the counter intention has been removed. So that's what I've been doing now. So this year I'm on track to make more money than last year, which is my best year ever. So where I
Awesome.
was doing pretty good. I was doing okay, but I wanted more. And then where I got a lot more than what I had before that. And I still want more, and I know exactly what to do in order to achieve it.
Right. Right. And then when you got the money process, the very first one, did you notice a change within yourself, or did you notice a change like physically on the outside, like a little later? What was the experience like for you getting the first money process?
I noticed a change physically on the outside later. I didn't notice a big change in myself, and that's where my focus always is. I care about results. I don't care if I saw flashing lights or had angels with wings come into my vision or something. That's great, but it's irrelevant to me.
Yeah.
It's not. It's meaningless. It's irrelevant. And I only say that because I know a lot of people that will be very like set on that. Like, man, I didn't feel anything. I don't feel anything. I don't feel anything. I'm like, well, you're not doing it so you feel things. I mean, you're doing it so you maybe change your base feeling about money, for example, with the money processes, but you're doing it for the results. You're doing it
Mm,
so you can make more money. Not so you can have an epiphany. I mean, epiphanies and cognitions they're essential. We do them as part of our training, but that's not the reason you're doing the processes. You're doing the processes to get a specific end result, and so that
exactly.
was what my focus was on, and that's what I experienced.
I really enjoyed that you shared that because for me, it was the feeling and just you bringing that to my awareness that I went to a money process for a result. It's given me a whole new perspective on what is going to happen in the future. Because when I went, I did feel a different shift. It was Abraham Hicks. I don't know if you've read their books, but they talk about the going upstream. And if you're going upstream, you're working really hard and you're not really getting anywhere. But then when you're going downstream, everything's flowing. And when I got that first money process, it felt, well, I didn't know I was going upstream. But once after the first money process, I just felt my energy just flowing. And I found that very interesting. And I also really like that you gave a completely different perspective from mine. So that's really awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm curious about that. So you did you do one money process?
I did too.
Okay. And when did you take them?
I took them right after summer conference.
Okay, nice. So pretty recently.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So what have you noticed since then, or have you noticed anything?
I'm creating more. I feel much more
Okay.
excited about ideas because I've had ideas before, but now I'm feeling more excited about these ideas. Like I can actually do this. And there's actually one specific idea. I don't want to share yet because it's still in the creation process. There's
Yeah.
just one particular idea where every time I thought about it, I was thinking about the money. but I wasn't thinking about helping people. And it was just getting me thrown off and stuck. And once I did the money process, I was able to stop. I took my attention off the money and then I put it on helping people. And it's going a lot much more smoother because I know the money's going to come. It's more of, I want to help people and how can I help them? How can I give them so much more that they don't know what's going to happen? And the money's just going to figure itself out.
Yeah. Awesome. That sounds good. And what did you experience while you were being delivered the processes, if anything?
Honestly, he said, I don't know what he did. I ended up falling asleep because he, as you know, when he amps up his energy, it is very, very strong. And I don't
Mhm.
know if it was because I didn't understand a word or if he just amped it up really, really strong that it just like knocked me out for a second and I came back to. It was an awesome experience going through it.
Yeah, that's really common with a lot of the processes. That happens to most of the people I talk to.
Did that happen to you?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, super common result.
Exactly. And then how many processes did you get?
I got all 30 money processes live when they originally came out. So 30
Nice.
processes in 3 days. Yeah. So the way that you're doing it, I like that. And I'm interested to see how that goes because you get one or two at a time. And
Hmm.
so that's how Kevin got him. He got one at a time. And his were like a year apart. I mean, it took him a really long time to go through all 30 of them and 31, 32, and 33.
Exactly.
He didn't do 30 in 3 days. He did one. And then he went back and he applied it to an insane degree. And then he got another one, 6 months to a year later. And then he applied that to an insane degree. So I think that's a good way of going about it. I like to do everything at once and then kind of catch up because then it's done. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Um, like if a show comes out, I don't really watch shows, but let's say I were to watch a show, I won't watch a show one episode per week. I don't do it that way. I'll either binge it or if it's not able to get all the episodes at once, I don't get the show.
It's all or
I'm
nothing.
not gonna. Yeah, I don't play it that way. So it's a different way of going about it. But I like the way that you're doing it, and I think you're gonna have a better understanding of exactly what's happening because it'll be one process at a time, and
Mhm.
you'll remember what that process is about because you'll take notes on it,
Exactly.
and then you'll look back at them and you'll think, okay, what's going on with that? You'll have cognitions after the process has been done, like you have
Yeah.
already with creating, and so I think that's a
It's a
good way of
very
going
cool
about it.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds like
And
it.
then one more question. Well, okay. Well, let's recap. You explained where you were, and then you explained the process of you getting a money process, and you also explained where you are heading because you said you're almost going to be you're going to almost pass your previous year, correct?
Yeah, I'm
Awesome.
on track to this year. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I guess I want to, this is short and sweet, right? Short and sweet. Last question is for someone who is thinking about it, what's one advice you can share with them to get them to make that decision to get a money?
Well, if so, there's a saying that says that unsuccessful people know the price of everything, the value of nothing.
Hmm.
So I understand, if it's $3,000 for one process. For a lot of people, that's like, are you serious? I'm going to sit in a room with a recording of somebody taking me through something because he says there's no time and space. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. He paid 10 to 20 times that much to 100 times that much to receive his processes going through the Brotherhood. And that was so one, you have to pay in and you're still getting an exchange at abundance. So you're paying for way, way, way less than what you're receiving. You're receiving more than you're paying for. And that's something to keep in mind. So that's always the case no matter what you're receiving. But in addition to that, this is something that removes counterintention. With everybody that I've talked to, they've experienced changes. And the only people that I've seen that have had processes and have not immediately gotten a result out of it is because I think their scope for what seeing results are is this big and they're already getting results in an area this big, but
Mm,
they're looking through a little tiny scope, and so they're actually not seeing the results that are happening. And that happens in fitness all the time. I train people and people are like, I'm not seeing results, and I'm like, well, what results are you looking for? And they're
Mm.
like, I'm supposed to lose 10 pounds in the first week. I only lost 2 pounds in the first week. What's up with that? I'm like, well, how many pounds did you lose in the last 5 years? Zero. You gained 20. So you're upset about losing 2 pounds in the first week? Like that, that's a good result. But if you don't understand that's a good result because you're not aware and you're not educated on what's supposed to happen, then you're not going to know that you're getting the results. So those are the only, I think, lack of results that I've seen from the processes.
Hmm.
Everybody else I know has seen results from the processes, myself included. So I think you just make the jump. And if it's somebody who's holding on to money because they're afraid to give it up, that's another habit that's going to keep them from making more money. It's not that you need to spend your money um, flippantly. You just throw your money everywhere. That's not the case. But if you're holding so tight to it that you won't put money anywhere because you think if you spend it, you lose it forever.
Hmm.
I mean, that's a belief you have that's creating that reality. So that's something to consider too for if somebody's doing that. I think if there's one place to put it, it's a guarantee it's going to get a really good result. This would be the place to put it. And even people that ask me whether they should do an upgrade in Gen or do a process, I'd recommend doing a process to begin with.
Exactly. Exactly. And with that being said, Brian, thank you so much for coming. For people who want to reach out to you and for personal training or just to watch your content, I like watching your content on Instagram. It'd be cracking me up. Where
Yeah.
where can they find you at?
So my Instagram handle is uh it's at Brian DeBaets, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's right. Just at Brian DeBates. And then my last name's spelled a little bit different than it seems. So if you want to put that in the comments,
Yes,
and
I'll
then
definitely put that in the comments.
okay, and then Telegram is the same. If people have Telegram, that's an easy way to reach out to me because you can direct message me on Telegram, and I just talk to people. I like Telegram because you can leave voice notes,
Yeah.
and if people have any questions, I'll give them answers. If it's fitness related, if it's related to the club that we're in, the processes, whatever, they can send me a message or a voice note, and I'll get back to them. Within a relatively short time. That's an easy way just to connect with me if they want to.
Awesome. And once again, Brian, thank you so much for agreeing to this and being my guest on my podcast. And I
Thanks for
hope
having
you,
me on the show.
of
Yeah,
course.
thank you. No, I appreciate it. I'm honored that you had me on here and that you respect how I feel about stuff. So thank you.